These two rough, beat up, soaking wet pallets, they literally saved me. It's been about 3 months since my last video. And if I'm being honest with you, I wasn't sure when I was going to come back. But these two pallets, they dragged me back. My name is Dainer, and this is what's been going on. Okay, before I tell you about the pallets, I need to be completely honest with you about something first. I'm going to call myself out because here's the truth. It wasn't just life getting in the way. Life is always in the way. That's not new. What was actually stopping me was something a lot more uncomfortable than the rain or the busy day job or the software issues. It was me. I was stopping me. I could see the shed from the house every single day, and every single day I found a reason not to go out there. Too tired, too much on my mind. I'll go tomorrow when I've got more energy. I'll start when I've got a clear head. The humidity is off the charts. I'll finish editing when they fix the software. You know, I'll just watch a few more videos. You know how it goes. And I never went. And here's the thing about procrastination that nobody really talks about, honestly. It's not laziness. Lazy people don't feel bad about not doing the thing. I felt bad every single day. I felt guilty every time I walked past the shed door and just kept walking. I felt it at night when I sat on the couch. I felt it on the drive home from work. That sort of low hum of you're not getting out there and doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing. And yet I kept walking. I love woodworking. I genuinely love it. Smell of the timber. I love when a joint comes together. I love the problem solving. I even love the frustrating bits when the wood fights back and the joint won't sit. Those moments when you have to stop and think it through. That's the good stuff. And I love making these videos. I love working out how to explain something. I love thinking about how to frame a story. I love the idea that someone somewhere watches this and thinks, yeah, I can have a crack at that. That really matters to me. So why couldn't I just go to the shed? Because I was overwhelmed. Not by the shed, not by the project, not by the channel, but everything else. And when you're overwhelmed, there's this thing that happens that I don't think it's talked about enough. The things you love the most, they are the first to go. Not because you don't care about them, but because they feel like they deserve more than the scraps you've got left at the end of the day. You think to yourself, I can't come out here half present and half dead on my feet. This deserves better than that. I'll wait till I'm in the right headspace. And the right headspace never actually comes. Because life doesn't hand you a clean window. Life hands you the Tuesday night after 8 p.m, after the dishes are done and the emails are answered or whatever you've got going on in your life. These are just examples. But then somehow that little window is never quite right enough. Sound familiar? So let me walk you through what that pile actually looked like, because it's never one big thing, is it? It never is. It's a collection of small things that stack up until the shed feels like it's on the other side of the world. So the day job, as some of you know, I work on a rescue helicopter. I'm not a pilot. If I was a pilot, you'd already know. And that job, I love it, but sometimes it doesn't switch off. When things go sideways out in the world, when there are floods, cyclones, emergencies, that's when we get a lot busier. And lately there has been plenty of that. On top of that, I recently formally accepted a supervisor position, which is more responsibility, but it's also training. I like teaching, but there's more mental load. I'm now carrying other people's decisions as well on my own. And when you clock off from that and you come home, you're not exactly arriving fresh. So I want to be straight with you on the full business human update. I'm not in a position to walk away from the day job and do this full time. Nowhere near it. My real job is stable, it's meaningful work, and with the way the world is right now, I'm actually playing it safe for a couple more years, and that's a conscious choice that I'm okay with. But it does mean the time I have out here is precious, and when I lose weeks of it, it stings. Then there was the rain, weeks of it. You can't bring wet timber into a hot shed and work with it. You can't do woodworking in a cyclone. I was sometimes stuck inside watching the shed, wanting to go out there, but it was very easy to just not. But I did manage to break down these two pallets when they were absolutely soaking wet, because I just needed something to do with my hands, anything. I was going a little bit crazy, and then I just left them in the shed to dry out naturally, which, as it turns out, was a bit of a silver lining, and I'll come back to that shortly. And then there's the personal stuff I don't need to go into in detail. Everything's fine and good. I had some reasons where I had 4 or 5 day stints inside in the aircon. I'm completely healthy. It's all good. But those inside times pretty much went to waste, and I'll get to that later. But I also want to be a little bit vulnerable with you because I actually think it matters. I don't always have it together. I get burnt out. I lose my momentum. I sit there some nights and generally think, what is the point of all this? Why bother making the video? Who's watching? Does it really matter? And in those moments, the shed door felt impossibly heavy. Not because I didn't want to go through it, but because going through it takes something. It takes showing up for yourself, and when you're already running on empty, showing up for yourself is the hardest thing in the world to do. And I reckon a lot of you know that feeling, whether it's a hobby, a side project, a business you're trying to build. And there are seasons where it literally feels like the world is conspiring against you to even get started. And then one day, I can't exactly tell you when, I just walked out to the shed. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a clear head. I didn't have a full day in front of me. I had maybe an hour. I was tired, the shed was dusty, and there were 2 pallets sitting in the corner that I had dumped there weeks early and not touched ever since. So I picked up the crowbar, the mallet, and my pallet buster and just got started. That was the breakthrough. Amazing. So the moment I started, the noise stopped. Not the noise in the shed, the noise in my head. That low hum of everything weighing on me just quietened down because my hands had something to do. My brain had one problem, and that problem was, how do I bust down this pallet? Because that's step one. That's always been step one. That is what woodworking gives me that nothing else does. It forces you into the present, not because it's relaxing, it's often not, because it demands your full attention. You cannot worry about work, about the news, about whatever's been grinding you down while you're cutting a half-lap joint at an angle. The wood will not let you. So if you're watching this and you've got something sitting half-started in the shed, in the garage, or in your head, and you keep waiting for the right moment or the right headspace or enough hours in the day, I'm telling you from personal experience, that right one moment is the moment where you just go. Not when life calms down, not when you've got a full day, not when everything's sorted. Now, with what you've got, even if the timber is soaking wet. So, back to the 2 pallets. I dragged them in from the rain, I busted them down while they were still dripping wet. Actually, not a bad thing, they come apart a little bit easier. But I just needed to do something with my hands, and then they sat in the shed for weeks. But here's the thing about leaving wet timber in the shed, it dried slowly, naturally. And by the time I was finally ready to actually work with it, it had dried out beautifully, ready to go. It was almost like the timber was waiting for me. So with the pallets busted down, I punched out the nails, stacked up the timber, and I left it on the bench for a little bit longer because I've still got to go to my real job, but I was coming back. And then I started cleaning it up. For those of you who are new here, welcome. This process is nothing new for the regulars, but I always do like to show a big chunk of my audience who are beginners. And I do like to show where the project actually starts. Raw, rough, reclaimed, and with a bit of patience and some elbow grease, it actually becomes something. The goal for this project was to turn these 2 pallets initially into usable stock. That's it. And then, now that I've got myself back out here, freed up a little brain space, I could start to think about what I actually want to make. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to make. Now, when I show you the CAD drawing, I need you to stay with me. Don't run away, because there's more to this story than just the project itself. Right. I'm making a timber cart. You've seen many a timber cart on YouTube. This one is mine. And mine has to work within the parameters of my shed and these 2 pallets and a few extra bits and pieces I found around the shed. So it's a skeleton frame design. It's open, very minimal, and that is completely intentional. So one reason is the dust. There is always dust in my shed. And I find when you're stacking and storing things, it just settles onto everything, especially stuff on shelves. So this design is built so that the dust falls through the cart and ends up on the floor where I can actually sweep it up. No more blasting things with the air blower and nuking the whole shed with dormant dust. The big item, the full sheet of ply problem. That's the big thing. That's the thing that I've always wanted to fix, is somewhere to store a full sheet of plywood when I occasionally buy timber. You know how it goes. You buy a sheet of ply and then suddenly it's running your life. You lean it against the workbench, it's in the way. You move it to the other side of the shop, it's blocking the table saw infeed. You get it against the wall and then other timber gets stacked in front of it and you can't get to it without moving everything first. This sounds like minor frustrations, but it slows you down every single time you're out here, and all those little slowdowns actually add up when time is the most important thing at the moment. So the main job of the cart is to store one full sheet, upright, accessible, easy to grab on and off. And as I cut it down and use it up, it stays on the cart, nice and tidy, out of the way, right there when it is needed. Behind it, there is a series of shelves for all the scraps of previous projects, offcuts, shorter lengths, all now have a home. Longer pieces are well supported. I've also designed it to support my world's fastest straightening jig. Just don't call it a jig, which is a couple of meters long. So that can live on there too. And down the track, I can add smaller shelves or boxes or whatever for smaller bits and pieces This thing is designed to grow. And it's on wheels, which means I can move it around as I need to. I've sold off a few machines recently, so I've got this space right here in the corner, which at the moment, let's be honest, is an absolute dumpster fire. There is scraps everywhere. I've recently broken down a few old projects and I've been reclaiming and reusing that. There's no logic, it's just a massive shit fight. The cart is going to fix that corner and obviously come with me when I move one day. A tidy shed is actually what I want to come out to. It just reduces the friction. I'm probably going to make some plans available. I'm still working out the best way to do that, but if I can sort it, there'll be a couple of bucks. That's mainly a way for anyone who wants to support the channel. You can figure out how to build this by watching the video. Brings me to my favorite part. It's made of pallets, free timber, reclaimed, rescue that would have gone into the dumpster. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, because I hear this every time, it's not really free. You had to do all that work. And I say, I didn't pay for it, so it's free. And that is the whole point of this channel. So it's a simple project in theory, skeleton frame, open shelves, wheels, shouldn't be too complicated at all. And then I started cutting the angles. It did push back, it pushed back hard. It highlighted some workshop deficiencies. And here's something that I have been slowly realizing. My workshop is actually underdone for what I'm trying to do. I got a new table saw about 18 months ago, and in that entire time, I haven't yet made some decent jigs or even a crosscut sled. I've just been using mostly the stock tools to figure things out as I go, which includes life without a miter saw. And this project, with all its sharp angles and half flat joints, it really exposed those gaps. But here's what I want to take from that. Sometimes you need a project to show you what's missing, and that's not a bad thing. That's just the good oil for later on down the track. I've also been simplifying my tool collection. I sold the jointer recently, one of the latest things to go. G'day, just gonna jump in, interrupt myself very quickly. Now, I have a second channel, it's called Dainer Unofficial. This video was well over an hour long, and then I pulled a lot of the stuff out. And I'm gonna stick it on the other channel, because it's a bit more of a talky, woodworky channel. Crazy. I'm gonna show you all the things that I've been doing to make this project, but to get by without a jointer, among other things. A lot more of my decisions on how I cut joints, what's lacking in the workshop to make things happen. It's no fluff, just me talking, all the B-roll footage basically, and it could be up to an hour. The other thing is, as we're sort of hearing, I'm just getting back into the groove, and I really just wanted to make this video and let you all know what's been going on with me. I'll hopefully see you on the other channel if you're interested, okay? For all the angles, I had to bust out the hand tool. Now, my saws aren't great. The tenon saw I pulled out had definitely seen better days. I started practicing, cutting lines by hand, one cut at a time. And something happened that I wasn't expecting at all. It was actually enjoyable. There is something meditative about hand tool work. Every cut I got a little bit better. Doesn't mean I'm any good. I got a little more confident, a little more precise, and because I was fully focused on the cut, not the angles, not on anything else, I was in the exact headspace that I needed and that I'd been chasing for months. I was present, just me and the tools and the wood. Now, young growth pine or palletwood pine is not fun to chisel, I can tell you that much. When your tools are sharp and your timber is really good or it's hardwood, chiseling is a genuinely satisfying experience. But pine, young pine, it tears, it splits, and it fights you every step of the way. But I kept going and I got better. After going through a few different approaches to cut these half-flat joints on these angled legs, I did land on something that works really well, and I put all the other options to one side. And I will quickly share this technique because it's actually genuinely useful. And I don't know why I have not done this before. I've seen it heaps, but it's good. Cut the lines with the tenon saw by hand, then chisel out a small portion, deliberately stopping well short of the cut line, and then come back with the palm router, set that to the exact depth of cut, and then clear out the rest of the half lap with a flush trim bit. And what that gave me was perfectly clean, perfectly flat surfaces every time. Every joint is the same depth, no blowing out the back with the chisel, no cleaning up the bottom, no cleaning up the power saw track marks with the chisel. And once this routine was actually locked in, it was nice and quick, and again, incredibly satisfying for the headspace activities. That's the thing we all love about woodworking. Sometimes you have to go through 5 wrong ways to find the right way, and that's fine. So the project is nearly done. I'm at the point, and I think brilliant. I'll use this time to get ahead of the edit. It is very much piling up and I've got nowhere. I shoot everything on the iPhone, I recently had a Mac for editing. I gave that to my daughter. She's heading into grade 11 and 12. She needed it more than I did, and I actually wanted to make the switch to an iPad. Crazy, but honestly, I was getting along just fine with Final Cut Pro on the iPad. Apart from the touch interface taking a little bit to get used to, I was finding my groove. And then about 3 weeks ago, Apple released the Creator Studio update, and it absolutely torched it. Open the app, make a few edits, crash, reopen, make a few edits, crash. Super frustrating, and this went on for weeks. That procrastination was now just multiplying. I figured out it was actually the Apple Pencil. Using the Apple Pencil to make the cuts with the cut tool was crashing the app. Ergonomically, it was natural to have this pencil in the hand, and it does speed things up for editing. But then I stumbled upon that being the problem. So I had to change up my routine, use my digits for the cut tools and the left hand for the Housey Fathers, and I smashed out the edit in about half a day. The rough edit. Genuinely one of the most frustrating things I've gone to in the tech editing world, but it was exactly what I didn't need after just getting myself started out here. I want to bring it all back to these 2 pallets. At the start of the year, everything was lining up against me. The rain, the cyclones, the day job, the new position, personal stuff, the editing crashes, my own head telling me maybe I just need a spell, that I should wait, and that's why there's been about 3 months of silence. Do you know what got me moving again? 2 soaking wet pallets that I dragged in from the rain. That's it. That's the whole secret. I didn't need a perfect plan. I didn't need a fully equipped workshop. I didn't need to dry the timber or clear my head or clean a perfect window of time. I just needed to do something. I just needed to start something, even if it was imperfectly. Because once I started breaking down these pallets, even soaking wet, even though I was a bit tired or I'd come off a shift, something had shifted. The shed felt like the shed. Again, put that on a t-shirt. My hands remembered what they were doing, although sometimes a little bit dodgy. The noise in my head quietened down. This project started taking shape. The reward isn't always a sale. It's not views or subscribers or revenue. Sometimes the reward is just how it makes you feel on the inside. Quiet satisfaction of making something with your own hands, of showing up for the thing that you love, even if it's hard. And that's what these 2 pallets gave me. And I hope this video gives a little bit of that back to you, wherever you're at right now. I want to say something to you directly. Stop waiting for the right moment. So if you've got a project sitting half finished in the shed or half started in your head, stop waiting for life to calm down, or you've got a full day, or you've finally got your head straight. That version of the future isn't coming. It doesn't work like that. What you've got is today. Maybe an hour, maybe 20 minutes after the kid's in bed. Or you get up a little bit earlier and come out here and do something. That's enough. Just use it. Pick up the nail punch, pick up the router, the hammer, the chisels, whatever. Do that one next thing. Even if it's small, even if the timber's wet, even if your editing app keeps crashing like an absolute bastard. Just get started. Catch you later.